Hello and welcome back to Let's Talk Shop, the podcast where we talk about wholesale and specifically about growing your wholesale. That might be with guest episodes or solo episodes. My name is Therese, if you haven't met before, and I run a business called Small Business Collaborative, where I do help small product-based business owners get clear on their sales strategy and everything that involves related to their wholesale. And today I'm going to be joined by a brilliant guest who I met a few weeks ago, and let's get straight into it. Hello, Andrew. Welcome to Let's Talk Shop. I'm very excited to get started and talk to you. We only met a few weeks ago online and then in real life last week at a great panel, which you recorded for your YouTube. So that will be linked in my newsletter in due course when that's ready. But I'm very excited to dig in because you actually have two businesses that we can talk about. And so Andrew has a sock business called Kind, and that in turn led to him setting up a agency for Faire. So we're going to have a bit of a dual aspect to this podcast episode. So welcome, Andrew.
Amazing. Thanks for having me, Therese. I'm looking forward to talking all things shop. It should be a lot of fun. Yeah, we started Kind maybe 8 years ago now with my now wife, Lucy, who's on mat leave at the moment. So we've just had our first baby boy, which we're really excited about. But yeah, we've got the two businesses. Obviously, we've got Kind, where we sell animal saving socks. The whole kind of idea behind that is 10% of profits from the sock go to the animal in the sock. And our belief is that imagine what the world would be like if every business donated 10% of their profits to a cause that made sense to them. And so we kind of had really great success on Faire. And we just started a YouTube channel to kind of share that journey and share and encourage other business owners to kind of, get in there, donate money, see the power of what it does to your business. And then people just kept asking us about this thing called Faire and how we'd had so much success. And so off the back of that, we've now been running a business where we help other businesses grow on Faire, very similar to you, Therese, with what you're doing. But what we really love about working with you guys is that, if there's someone that wants to do it themselves and wants to, work with a great coach, that's why we recommend, SBC as a great place to go. And then, if you need someone to kind of do it for you, that we've got Candid Founders, which is the agency side. And there are some business owners that are too busy, maybe want to leverage themselves a bit more, don't want to kind of take the time to learn the platform. And that's where we kind of fit in. So they're kind of the two businesses. And yeah, thanks so much for having me on. It feels like ages ago that we met, but nonetheless, we're here.
Yeah, I absolutely love what you said there about that, not everyone wants to do everything themselves. And I think as small business owners, we often get stuck in this mindset, perhaps, that we should be able to do it ourselves. So it's really great to know and be introduced to businesses like you where you don't actually have to.
That's the whole thing. I think whenever I come across, especially there's a real niche we see a lot of our clients are, we got a lot of big customers, but some of the smaller clients we've got are solo entrepreneurs that have built an amazing product and they have kind of willed themselves into success, a couple £100,000, what have you, and they've built a great business, but they're sat there being like, oh my gosh, how can I get this to £1 million? How can I get this to £2 million or above? And the answer normally 9 times out of 10 is you need to start handing over those points that you're not uniquely suited to do to someone else that can. And so I always kind of see, part of the area that we give advice on as well to kind of those brands is that, okay, who's your first hire going to be? Who's the second hire going to be? How can you start to think about, all the stuff that you teach, Therese, about that? What's that next step to going into a third-party logistics provider? How do you take those operations that you do, Instagram messaging people that you're always recommending people, but then how do you operationalize that? How do you stop doing it? It's a great thing that any founder can do, no doubt, absolutely. But how do you kind of take that next step? And that's where we kind of, fit in to those businesses looking to make that next step.
Yeah, and just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do it, because as the business founder, you need to be driving your business forward, right? Unless you happen to be the absolute expert in that area. Perhaps that's a bit different. I love that both your businesses, so they're so value driven. So Backhand with donating to charity, and then Candid founders, you give away pretty much everything you learn along the way on YouTube for free for anyone to use as they wish, if they want to do it themselves. So it's really great. Why was that important to you to be such a value-led business, both businesses?
Lucy and I kind of, to start off with, Lucy was the real driver of Bear Kind, and what her thoughts were, to kind of maybe take you back 8 years ago when we were first starting that business, was very much, well, does Lucy start a charity? I was still working at a bank at the time, and Lucy really has always wanted to kind of do better for the world, is I think the easiest way to describe it. And we thought, do we start a charity? And we thought, actually, I feel like there's enough charities out there in the world that are doing great work. And would we be uniquely suited to add to that? And our thoughts were maybe not. But as I think a lot of your, listeners and followers and crew would understand, is that you spend a lot of money on marketing for an e-commerce business, and the awareness and impressions that we drive, we think is kind of the underappreciated factor of, sure, we've got the donation side, but we've also got the massive awareness that we bring by spending, so much money on ads every year. And so that's kind of why we chose that unique idea. And then Lucy said to me, I was like, Lucy, this is a great idea, but can we just, do we have to promise it? It seems like, something that we're doing at the end of the year. Why not just do it by the end of the year and kind of do it silently and, be good people like that? And she's like, you don't understand. This is the whole idea behind the business. The reason why we're doing this is to save the animals. The reason why we're doing Candid Founders is to give people an understanding of how can they grow their business. And there's so many great small businesses out there and big businesses that can do better. And so we just try to help them as much as possible. And the way that we think about the 10% of profits we give away is obviously we give away the strategy and we kind of sell the implementation. And, there's a lot of businesses out there that have got a tremendous amount of value from our content now. And that's really great. I want those businesses to kind of grow themselves and, hire someone internally to be able to operate and just get them obsessed with our YouTube. All I ask is like, subscribe, follow for more, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, that's the idea.
I love that. Some of them will become clients. Some of them will do it themselves. I find that a lot of small businesses I come across, and probably you feel the same, I'm going to guess, is more value driven. So, the more we can amplify and help small businesses grow, the better, I think.
Yeah. And I find it, what I love about that is there's also, don't count the big businesses out either. We work with so many that are really value driven. And I think, not saying that you were, Teresa, that just like, I think it's, just because you're big doesn't mean you're still not great or good for the world. And, there's so many massive B Corps out there now these days. There are some that probably flout the rules a little bit, but I think that most people are going in the right direction to try and do business better. And so, yeah, I think there's space for that. And then those people that aren't yet doing business better, I think there's a way to educate them in the right way that, doing business better, one of the biggest benefits that we've got, speaking purely selfishly on Bear Kind in particular, is whenever we do an ad, we get someone out there who goes, oh, well, what do your top CEOs get paid? And all of these kind of negative Nellies that come on. And the best thing about it is that all of our customers come into bat for us and they shoot the person down and say, well, actually, hold on. What business are you doing that donates 10% of their profits? It's not 100% sure. We'll probably, I'd love to be able to get to that, but it's probably not going to happen. But, that 10%, imagine the world's problems that would be kind of sorted. So, you say basically to that person that is a bit negative on wanting to donate, that actually, well, if you want to make more money, why don't you just donate a little bit? Quite nice.
Yeah, I love that. And kind of continuing, I guess, when stepping back to when you started Backhand, was wholesale always the route to market? What led you to explore it, and what were your first steps into it?
So really maybe 5 years ago or so now, Faire started coming into the UK in a big way. And we were recommended, I think, very classic story, great direct-to-consumer brand, great traction through the normal kind of traditional channels, Facebook, Google, and the like. And Lucy had just gone full-time, and we got approached by Faire, and we thought, what, let's give it a crack. What's the worst thing that can happen? We don't sell anything. We spend a bit of time, but always opportunities there. And it took off. And I think, to begin with, kind of to answer your question of like, what was where did the business kind of come from, is in a sense of like 100% of it was direct to consumer, and it's increasingly going business to business. Last year, we're about a third B2B. This year will be about a half B2B. And Faire has been like a really big driver of that, enabling us to, take that business to the next stage, whether that's, non-hanging packaging to hanging packaging, kind of the 4 standing units, point of sale displays, all that sort of stuff, starting to like kind of add that on and mature it as a business. And, as we start to do that, we really do see direct to consumer taking a backwards step and, going further on business to business.
And what was it like those early days on the Faire platform?
It was a bit of a wild west, but not in the sense of like, that there's just so much opportunity, and Faire was spending so much money to acquire retailers. And, there was days a couple of days actually, where we got 100 plus retailers in a day. And
Wow.
yeah, it was just crazy. And that was all driven off the back of what we did, but totally enabled by Faire. What business do you know that could service 100 retailers in a day, going from probably 100 retailers total? But we just got really lucky in the sense that we had an amazing offer from Faire. It was I think it was 300 or 400 pounds for free at the time for a retailer that signed up. But we signed up a couple hundred podiatrists. Niche in our industry, hadn't been targeted yet by people kind of stumbling to Faire. We went absolutely bananas there. It was amazing. So that was kind of like what kind of took us, to that next level, made us stand up and think, geez, this is a total game changer for our business. Why don't we give it a crack? And then we just started sharing that story with other businesses, and how can we basically do it for them? And, I've got like a client at the moment is like a tea infuser business. Amazing product. And then just growing from strength to strength as, they start to build out their range. And now it's kind of Faire's gone from like a Wild West to a bit more of it's starting to become a more mature platform. The marketplace wars, Anchor Store, Creelweight, Abound, Tundra are starting to not be as successful as Faire. They're still around, some of them. But Faire is clearly the winner. And so, yeah, we're recommending people just, it is still the Wild West. Imagine if you could have got into Amazon 20 years ago when Amazon was 5 years old. How would your business be doing there, and how many reviews would you have? So it still feels like the world's your oyster in some respects, even though it was Wild West now, or Wild West then, maybe even is Wild West now. I don't know.
Well, maybe it feels like it to some, at least. What do you think it helped you? So you said that you onboarded like 100 retailers in like no time. Like how did you do that?
So 1 or 2 days, but basically what we did is we got trusted by the Royal College of Podiatry. So we've got amazing socks. We're the number 1 sock in the UK on Trustpilot. So we really guard our reviews as much as possible and recommend brands do that. And it's just a unique selling point that then, now that we're going into distributors, is such a win, right? So that was the first part. Amazing product. But I imagine a lot of people in your audience are already at that position. So hold that amazing product, keep the amazing product, go super high quality, never take a step back from that. We then got trusted by the Royal College of Podiatry to kind of get that proof point of an independent third party saying, actually, this is an amazing business from a podiatry standpoint. And then we took that and we said to the Royal College of Podiatry, guys, look, we've got this offer from Faire, £400 free. Can we basically tell your retailers, your podiatrists, hey, here's £400 worth of socks. I just want to tell people about the benefits of Bamboo socks. So it's all about, and kind of what we're doing on YouTube, it's all about giving people value first. And then off the back of it, you will get some type of value back. And so we told these retailers or these podiatrists all of the benefits of the bamboo fiber: sweat wicking, thermoregulating, not too tight, making sure that, the vertical and horizontal tensions are all kind of, the right spec. They were trusted by the Royal College of Podiatry. And just off that one email, we had hundreds of signups. Crazy. And then, I need to get the exact, like what a win, right? And there are still stories like that. We work with a clothing brand, for example, that sells kimonos of all things. And the kimono market wasn't massive on Faire. And they did like $100,000 in their first day when they first went on. And they're still throwing a lot of money out at these customers. You've still got, if you bring a retailer in, I think they get £150 at the moment in the UK. It's different in the US, £150 free on their first order, which is on a 50% discount. So if you spend £300, that's an amazing discount. 60-day terms. I've never had Faire not pay me, so I've never had a bad debt. Amazing.
So amazing. I think that you really thought outside the box. Like, how can we reach the right people with, I mean, a lot of people would not have thought about the podiatrist, but I don't see why a dog brand couldn't do the same with vet practices. There's lots of big chains of vet practices out there, and they all buy individually. So, yeah, I think, well, not all of them perhaps, but at least this ones around me probably does.
I think you're right. I think the main thing is that think about like the way that we kind of phrase it to people, the advice is it's so hard to be unique and have a unique idea. And I'm not the most imaginative person, but the way that I kind of like shortcut that is I think what is the ultimate, like what is the best possible way you could sell your product? So, let's take your vet example that you've just mentioned there. Okay, let's say we're selling pet food. How is this the best pet food? Yeah. Okay, it's got all natural ingredients. It's, so good that humans could eat it. It's amazing. Like, what are all of these different factors that I don't know. Never been in the pet space myself in that regard. And who can trust me? Okay. And where do people buy this stuff? Who's our like top 20 retailers that we'd love to get? I'd love to be trusted by Goddard's. I'd love to be trusted by the biggest pet vet brands, Pets at Home, all that sort of stuff. And then give that to the retailers of, look, guys, we've got these amazing proof points. You guys should trust. Can you trust us as well? And then do everything in your power to be the best, the greatest as a brand to retailers. Super low MOQs, really cheap shipping as much as possible. Still make a profit as a brand. We're not here from a charity to kind of not make profit, but your retailers are looking to invest in your product. And all the things that you talk about, Therese, is they're looking to invest. They don't want to take too much risk. You force a retailer, if you've got no reviews, you've got minimum order quantity of £1,000, why on earth would you come to me versus another brand that's zero MOQ, hundreds of reviews, and give someone an ability to kind of choose? So that just try to be the best as possible, and then you can almost like shortcut that imaginative process, I feel at least.
I love that. And how do you build relationships on Faire? You mentioned reviews a few times. Is that also reviews on Faire? And how do you get
Yes,
them?
it's one of those tasks that everyone knows that they should do, but they don't do. And if I'm honest, I think it's one of the main reasons why people come to us is that they sit there and they see, oh God, I know I need to do this. But it's really simple. Message retailers after they've purchased. Just set that up and go through the Faire platform, message them, say, hey, look, thank you so much for your order. If you want to sell more, here's all of the link to our marketing material. Here's kind of the best in class proof points that we see people mentioning the products at the till. Say that you've got this product in the store. Well, maybe you're a clothing brand and you sell laundry products or something, or you're selling to a clothing retailer, I should say, you sell laundry products. Well, it's when someone simply comes up, oh, to keep these whites looking super amazing, here, put this wool dryer ball in. Here, put this, just that quick, easy add to cart. Make it easy as possible for the retailer. And they're going to come back to you. 5 stars, amazing. I love this product. And so we do Faire. We also do non-Faire. Trustpilot is a massive ripoff when it comes to having to pay for it. We don't recommend do that. We just recommend use the free plan and get a small amount of reviews, but get the best possible reviews that you possibly can. When Trustpilot stops charging, a couple £100 for a product that Judge Me charges £5, I can't see myself changing, but just put the hard work in, and operationalize it. There's unfortunately no way to automate that message yet. And if you're just relying on the automations, you will just be the average of everybody else relying on the automations, but you want to stand out. You want to be the category killer in your industry. Faire has a limited amount of eyeballs. Really, every platform has a limited amount of eyeballs. Make use of that. And so that's kind of how we think about reviews.
I love that. That's so good. And I think, I don't know if it's a shame you can't automate I mean, if someone spent their hard-earned money with you, like a little shop in, I don't know, Leicester or something,
Yeah.
they they took a risk on you. They spent their money on you. You're a new brand to them. Like, what? They deserve a personal message, don't they?
Yeah, I agree. I think and the personal message is amazing, but maybe even the step before that is just an automated, but what seems like a personal message through the platform where they know
Yeah,
they can't get an automation. So
yeah.
make it as easy as possible for the brand, but equally these retailers are busy people as well. And if you make it as easy as possible, put the link in there. Don't make them search for the link. All that sort
Yeah.
of stuff that's just, it feels easy to kind of get it off your to-do list, but if you do it properly, it can really smash your brand out.
And I'm all for having things templated, right? So even if it's a personal message, you can have it templated out so you don't forget about your link and all of that.
Exactly.
You just add in something. I had a look on your Instagram. I'm so happy that you stock me as some of my other suppliers also stock this. Just something. It doesn't have to be deep, right? It just has to be something.
Yeah, template is that's exactly
So
a great way to describe it.
yeah, I love a template. I think a blank page is where procrastination happens.
That's a good point. And also, like, stand on the shoulders of giants. And you can be that giant of this person who has written it before. And then every single time you see a new template or like an improvement, then it just goes onto the template and it's the same forever. You don't have to relitigate it.
And now with your service where you help others manage their Faire journey, like, did that start organically, or did you set up to start it with your YouTube channel?
No, again, like kind of the way that we mentioned it is that like we believed with their kind that the power of 10% of the profits from the sock goes to the animal of the sock. Imagine what that could do. And we were sharing that journey with everyone on YouTube. And it's incredibly boring content. Don't get me wrong, but it's really valuable content for those people that are watching it. And so that's why, it kind of works for us. So people just kept coming to us with questions about the business. Once we really kind of started taking off with Faire, people were started to take, I think, a bit more interest in Faire. And that's kind of where we were talking more about it. And we then subtly put in our message of our brand, Bear Kind, with 10% of profits from the sock go to animal of the sock. I just really struggle when people are trying to ram down a particular message down someone's throat. They're not there for that. They're there for whatever reason they're looking for. So we had people coming to us, to our YouTube, who wanted to see more Faire content. So we started putting more Faire content in it. And in every single one of our videos, we mentioned Bear Kind, where 10% of the profits from the sock go to animal of the sock. But people then kept coming to us and they said, look, Andy, this is amazing, but I don't have the time. My team doesn't have the capability. We bring a team that has a designer, operations person, account manager, content writer, and like a strategist in me or an account director that works through and makes sure that you've got the best possible, service. And that's 5 people working on, on an account is quite large in comparison to what, one person does. And typically what we see is, businesses with a wholesale manager, for example, maybe they're doing $1 million a year. They've got one wholesale manager, but that wholesale manager isn't likely to be all 5 of these things. They're not likely to be an account strategist, an account manager, an operations manager, designer, or a content writer. Maybe they're one of those. Maybe they're 2 of those. Maybe they're a unicorn and they're 3 of those, but they're probably not all 5. And so that's kind of like where we see the sweet spot of like, look, we can do this. And there are other people that can do this. And don't get me wrong, we give away literally every single thing that we do for free on YouTube, guys. So watch that. Start there. Like if you want to look, see how you improve your SEO, look at our SEO video. We walk you through every single exact step on how we would do it for you. And we don't really hide from that. We walk you through all of the, kind of like our top 5 tips, right? Our top 5 tips on Faire are, better product photography. Make sure that you've got amazing product photos. You cannot have enough photos. You can't do too many. I want detail. I want zoomed in. I want zoomed out. I want to see it in store. I want to see it, on a clear background. I want to see it merchandised well, all of those different areas. Then it's a visual medium, right? So point 2 is take all of the things that you're writing and wanting to tell a retailer, make them visual. I want iconography for your USPs, bang, bang, bang. We're sweat wicking, thermoregulating, heel hugger, all of those kind of like key points. And put the FAQs on everything that you're kind of like writing, that when someone comes to you as a brand, as a retailer coming to a brand, they're asking questions like, does this fit? What size is this? Do you ship internationally? What's the carriage pay duties? Whack that in the photos, because people don't read. They just want to see nice, cute images where you go 0, minimum order quantity. People get that instantly. Picture says 1,000 words. That's kind of like, the second point. Third point is optimize your SEO. 50% of product sales comes by product search on Faire, which is a crazy amount to think. And then the third part, or fourth part, I should say, is for your retailers, be as retailer friendly as possible. Zero MOQ. Don't make money on your shipping. You're not there to make money off shipping. You're there to make money off your product. Be, case packs as small as possible. That makes sense for your brand, right? And then the fifth part is add products regularly. Be a live business. Change your products around. Update merchandise like you would do in your store. And they're kind of like top 5 tips. The whole thing that we do is we try to give it away all for free. If you want to do it, take those tips, look at our YouTube videos, go for it, guys. And that's kind of how we do it, how we recommend, business owners. And quite often I'll speak to a brand and I'll say, look, you could take this on, but equally, it feels like you've got someone in your team who could probably give a pretty good crack at what you're doing and take your business from 0 to 1, and then maybe come back to us and we'll take you from 1 to 10 or 1 to 3, whatever that looks like.
Is that who do you typically work with, actually? Those tips are amazing. Of course, if you have no wholesale, it might be feel risky to hire someone like you. So where is the sweet spot? Who usually hires you?
We've got brands everywhere from those that have just started with one product all the way to those doing kind of 20 million plus a year not on Faire, but as brands and businesses themselves, a couple $1 million on Faire. So everywhere in between. Where we work best, we find, is at those businesses that don't have a fully fledged out department across design, operations, creative writing, and then account management, or kind of the strategy. So that is quite a broad swath of people on Faire. We focus specifically just on Faire, though. There are other platforms out there, and there are great other agencies there. Right now, we're not doing that. We're just focusing on Faire. There's a great opportunity set for a lot of people. And so, I tend to find us working well with those people that are like, oh, I can see the opportunity in Faire, but I just, 1, don't know what to do. 2, don't have enough time. 3, I know I could learn it, but I don't have the time or to do it. So they're probably the main areas. It feels like it's everywhere in between. And equally, there's no real competition out there from an agency perspective. Everyone's focused on Google, Facebook. That's great. And there's great agencies out there, but we're just focusing on Faire. And, we find that people come to us because they want to put 1,000 leads into their account a month. They want to do all of their SEO, 60 characters in the product title, 3,000 now in the product description. And then also kind of go through that SEO, go through the retailers, get more sales. But then they tend to stay with us because they don't touch their account at all anymore, other than customer service from a perspective of just filling orders. I would love to be able to do that, but it's too complex to manage every single brand's doing it. And so, yeah, that's kind of where we do. And we then add, additional, I think value to clients' accounts. We've recently invested our design department now will not just design your emails, but all of your product photography, your store photography, your point of sale stands, your point of sale displays, and everything in between. We want you to become what we call distribution ready. And so we basically thinking about every single brand that come to us. How do we just take them from nothing to distribution ready? Some brands are distribution ready. And then our aim is to be able to represent them internationally to sell into other countries. But that's kind of the work in progress.
Yeah, but that's exciting. I think you have such a niche. I see it. I've been in the industry so long that, I see a little bit what you're doing now. Some clever people started doing for Amazon back in the day. And, I think my second role in the industry was the first time within the business that I worked in a sales team that had one person solely looking after Amazon. Yeah. And I found it so interesting. The business I've been in previously, we dabbled probably, but we weren't making use out of it. And then here's like someone that employs like a quite senior person full time to just look after it. I think it's pretty cool. And I think what you're doing is so valuable. You save so much time. No one has that knowledge yet, because I think coming from the brand side, you have such a perspective of it, that unique perspective of it. I think anyone that maybe started on Amazon and trying to help with Faire, they're just guessing as they go, perhaps, but you've tried it with your brand first.
Yeah, but I mean, I've learned so much from you as well, Therese, that, I think it's probably thank you so much for the compliments, but I need to echo them back to you. What you guys are doing with taking brands from zero knowledge to that next level is really crucial. And that's why I'm really glad that, you're a partner of ours that we work with. So if anyone's kind of, come here to watch me spout about Faire and the benefits there, I think you've got that. But if you want to do it yourself, then there's no better person than looking at Therese. And that's why we're partnered together, is that you guys can take businesses that want to know, that want to work through everything, that want to do it with other people as well through your courses and your coaching. And that's why, we're here today. So, awesome. Thank you so much for having me on that.
No, it's been so great. And you shared so much value just in this half an hour or so. One thing that I always ask, which is maybe a little bit cheesy, but I like it. I'm a bit cheesy. What has been your proudest moment in your wholesale so far? What is the thing that went, oh, wow, this is the thing?
Across Faire and all of the other marketplaces and direct, we're now in 1,000+ retailers. The craziest thing I am yet to experience, though, is I've never seen my sock on someone that I don't know, or that I haven't. I can't believe it. We've sold millions of pairs, and someone goes to me, well, how big is the sock market in the UK anyway? And I say, I stare at people's feet is a weird thing to say, but I'm still yet to be able to see it. But the proudest moment I've got is when we were walking through Yorkshire and I saw my socks in a store, and I was just, at the point I was kind of a bit tired, didn't check when we were going through York that, where our retailers were. And I walked past our socks, on a Saturday afternoon whilst we were out shopping, and I looked at it and I went, what? And this, Lucy, it's our socks. And we couldn't believe it. We kind of stumbled across one of our retailers, which was the nicest feeling when you see the product out in the wild, and you kind of forget that at the end of the day, there's someone out there with their point of sale stand representing our product. And, you go in there and this poor store assistant is like, oh my God, why is this guy obsessed with socks? And then you explain it to them and they go, okay, cool, great. But, don't be a weirdo about it. And so that's probably my proudest moment.
I love that. I think a lot of people feel similarly, walking into shops, seeing their products on the shop shelves, it feels like, I don't know, validation, proudness, so many feelings.
Yeah, I would love to say that
So I
I'm,
think,
more humble or something, or more wise, that I don't need to see it, but I'm not. And it felt amazing to see my product, out with my friends, kind of happened across it. It was lovely.
I don't think we need to be humble. I think maybe in the UK we're a little bit too humble with our business achievements. Perhaps that's another discussion.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast and sharing so much of your knowledge. I will, of course, put all your links in the show notes, but do you want to just tell people your website and your YouTube channel so that if they want to go right now, they can?
Amazing. So we're at candidfounders.com. That's with the C. But check us out at YouTube. Anything that you want to search for on Faire, any type of questions there, we will pop up. My only request, guys, is if each time you see a video, you don't even have to watch it, or watch it maybe a little bit, leave it in the background. That would be great. But just chuck it a like, subscribe. That would kind of be mega helpful for us to find more business owners like you that maybe not need our services, but just need the YouTube. That's kind of the main thing. And then, obviously there's a great way to go from there. We give it away for free, guys. Again, I say this all the time. We give everything that we do away for free on the YouTube. But if you don't have the time, then have a chat with me. I'd love to help other businesses. My parents were accountants, and I started initially thinking I was going to be an accountant. I started getting my training and all that sort of stuff. And I love speaking with businesses, but I didn't love doing the accounting. And obviously I can still do all that sort of stuff, but I just love working with businesses and finding out about their individual niches. The fact of, why do we sell to cafe owners on a Monday? Why do we use Ground Advantage in the US for, food and beverage as all that sort of just unique niches. And then we bring the Faire knowledge to brands. And so I really enjoy it. I think this has been the best, career that I've taken so far. So yeah, that's where you can find me. And that's, I guess, why I do what I do.
And before I let you go, there is some shopkeepers watching this, I know. So where can they pick up your socks? I guess.
We've got, absolutely. Bearkind, BAREKIND on Faire. We sell bamboo socks. We're 10% of profits from the sock go to the animal in the sock. Hopefully you got that USP. We're the #1 sock in the UK on Trustpilot. We have over 100 different designs, every colorway you can think of. It makes a great gifting product that you can add at the till. We give away all of our point of sale stands for free once you've kind of got enough socks to fill them. So please do message us if you want point of sale stands. We're more than happy to kind of send them across to you and get selling. And the main thing that we do is we try to share everything that we possibly can on informing and educating you as a shopkeeper on when is the best point for socks. So, we're coming into October now, where this is probably come out October, November. We're at the peak sock selling period. It's an easy as ability to just add to the tills. I know kind of so many brands say that, but just have an arrow pointing to it, say stuck for Christmas ideas, bang, it's gone.
I mean, how many millions of socks do you think is given in stockings every year?
Not enough. Not
I
enough.
think it's a
That's the
lot.
answer.
Oh, that is true. They're not enough, but I do think they make excellent stocking fillers.
That's true.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, and I hope that you guys enjoy this. Do let Andrew know if you have any questions about Faire. I know he's super generous with his time and advice, so do reach out, give them a follow on YouTube, make a comment with some questions. And of course, if you're a buyer, great stocking filler. Thank you so much, Andrew, for coming today.
Thanks, Therese.
And
Thanks, everybody.
see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.